Issa Rae has never felt like she was for the culture. And when I say the culture, I mean Black Americans. I mean like 4 generations ago, Black Americans. I mean like your lineage came from trafficked Africans who were brought to the Carolinas, right? I'm talking Geechee. I'm talking our ancestors survived sharecropping and Jim Crow and Reconstruction in the Civil Rights era, and here we are today. I mean, those types of Black Americans. And I suspect that this is going to be, I don't know, controversial. I'm sure it's going to be wildly unpopular. But I've had that in my spirit for a good 8 years, maybe a decade. And I bring this up because I've seen clips of Amanda Seales being interviewed by Shannon Sharpe. I'm not going to get into the just absence of depth that Shannon has, because we've seen that repeatedly with all his interviews. And I'm not like a blind follower of Amanda Seales, like not even like a follower. Like I appreciate what she says. And certainly there are moments where I'm like, okay, girl, okay. Having said that, I have seen what feels like Issa weaponize her power against Amanda. I've seen it in how she has intentionally curated her image with the insecure cast sans Amanda. And that feels very violent to me, right? I've seen how that whole party situation went down, right? Like where her publicist wouldn't allow Amanda entry into this Black Hollywood party. First of all, there's like 7 of y'all. And she can't come in. That's personal. And that was an attempt to humiliate her and shame her. And where does that come from? It is rooted in colonization. Now listen, I know y'all love her sound bites, like I'm voting for everybody Black, blah blah blah. I'm sure you are not, because the way I've seen sis move feels very much like a colonizer. In fact, I used to love Awkward Black Girl. That was my intro to her, and I was like, I totally identify. I'm awkward. I'm Black. And there's a whole segment of Black Americans, those types of Black Americans that I referenced at the onset of this video, who were like, yes, I'm an introvert, I'm awkward, I have social anxiety, etc., etc. But what I realized is there are some parallels, but that's not the story she was telling. She was telling her story as an African woman or child who immigrated to America, was likely bullied and targeted for being different by Black Americans and European Americans and Hispanic Americans and etc., and who had to acquiesce to Black culture. And she puts it on as a mask. And I say that because what I saw in her production of Insecure felt like a caricature of Black Americans. Right? Like the first season, I was like so excited. I was like, yay, all Black cast, and the Black leads are very chocolate. Let's get it. But like after that first season, it was a wrap for me. I was like, I can't. The way those characters like imitated Black Americans, not Nigerian Americans, not Ghanaian Americans, they were imitating Black Americans 4 generations deep, 5 generations deep. And it didn't feel authentic. In fact, it felt like a parody of us, right? It felt like what these folks do. It was, and really in particular, it was the way they use the N-word, right? Because I see this with people who like have some proximity to Blackness, but ain't Black. And note, when I say Black, I'm talking Black American, right? Anyways, the way they use the N-word, it was the frequency. Like they would give like a script, the script would call for like, 10 sentences, which was a total of like 150 words. 75 of those words would be the N-word. Like y'all are too happy, too excited to use it. You were overusing it, misusing it. It just didn't feel authentic. It felt like someone who some had this voyeuristic view into Black culture and wanted so much to be a part of it, but also had no real value and regard for it. And so they made fun of it by putting on this caricature. It never felt authentic. It never felt good. And even like, what's this sis? Yvonne, You know, I've heard her, I've seen her sets. Okay, sure. That's not what I'm critiquing. But I've seen her sets. I've seen her do interviews on the Breakfast Club and other places and just talk about how she was raised that Black Americans were stupid and lazy. And we know, like, y'all, we know what y'all don't know. Y'all are still colonized, just like we are. Which is why in all my videos, you hear me talking about decolonizing your mind and your personal and professional practices. Personal and professional ethics. Because like I heard sis just go on interview after interview about how her parents wanted her to be anything other than anything similar to Black Americans. And so I find that Issa and Yvonne, they other us, right? Just like these folks other us. And I'm clear that Amanda is also a first generation American. But here's the difference, right? I understand her father is Black American, her mother is Grenadian, but here's what I've found in Amanda. I've never seen anything in all of the footage I've seen of her. I've never seen her be anti-Black. I've never got a feeling of anti-Black, right? I've seen her be able to hold space for both, right? An appreciation for her culture, Grenadian culture, as well as Black American culture. Right? I've seen her just toe the line with that. Now there are some nuances, sure, right? Like if this ain't your thing, it'll never be your thing fully. Right? And that is not, I'm not talking about it in an exclusionary way, but I've seen Issa and Yvonne be very anti-Black in their behavior and in their language. Right? And so it just never felt real. It felt like proximity to through us, right? Because we understand how hip hop changed the landscape of the globe for Black people. And so when y'all just like are on the outside looking in, you see this Sambo like stuff because that's the lens through which you see us. That of colonization, of colonizers, right? Who devalue us. And that's how y'all treat us. So like when Amanda reports that essentially Issa created a hostile work environment, believe it 100%. Why? There was no reason to object to that girl being admitted to this party. Your publicist works for you. And again, the way she curated her image online, like in every event, it's the entire cast, but not Amanda. That's harmful. So we're beyond the stage where we're accepting things that are just right at the surface because we understand, we're clear that all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And I'm not trying to kumbaya with folks that, I don't know, quite honestly, want to be me, but can't. And I'm not saying like, and I don't say that in a malicious way, but the way y'all pursue Blackness as like something you can put on, it's no different than Kim Kardashian. Issa Rae is a Kim Kardashian of like non-Black Americans. Y'all, check out my podcast. It's called I'm Not Gonna Be Quiet. We tell the truth so that we can heal ourselves. And let's keep this conversation going and let's get free, y'all.